Picture a multi-million-dollar project. Maybe it's this massive high-rise construction or a huge software deployment or even just a really complex corporate merger.
Right, the stakes are high.
Exactly. The deadline is looming, the pressure is totally on, and you urgently need to verify this one specific structural specification or maybe a critical compliance clause. So you open your main folder, and you are just instantly greeted by, nested folders, identical timestamps, and like 50 files, all aggressively named some variation of final B2 revised real final.
Oh, yeah, we've all been there. It's an absolute nightmare.
It really is. At that point, you aren't managing data anymore, right? You are just surviving digital chaos. And whether you're managing that massive construction project or just trying to organize your own chaotic digital workspace, that sheer cognitive exhaustion of trying to locate information you already own, well, it just drains your team's momentum.
It does. It's an incredibly pervasive bottleneck, really. And the thing is, it scales exponentially. The friction generated by this kind of poor document management isn't just some minor administrative annoyance.
No, not at all.
In high-stakes environments, that friction directly translates to severe project delays, compounded errors, and honestly, significant financial bleed. I mean, when you are paying highly specialized professionals to execute complex tasks, having them spend 28% of their week just clicking blindly through SharePoint or Google Drive, it's an unacceptable systemic failure.
Yeah, it's wild when you put it like that. Which brings us to the core focus of today's deep dive. Welcome in, everyone. Today, we are looking at an instructional script for Lesson B8 from ProjectXM. It's titled, Running the Project Indexer and Understanding Output.
A very essential lesson.
Absolutely. The mission for this deep dive is to figure out how to stop drowning in project files. We want to learn how to map a project once so you can navigate it forever. Okay, let's unpack this, because this whole indexer concept fundamentally changes how you interact with your files.
Yeah. It really is a paradigm shift. We're moving from blind keyword hunting to basically spatial awareness.
What do you mean by spatial awareness?
Well, typically when a file is lost, a user relies on a search bar. And that search bar is a blunt instrument. It forces the computer to rifle through every single document it has permission to access, just guessing, looking for a string of text that matches your query.
Like trying to find a street sign in the dark.
Exactly. But what an indexer does, it proactively establishes a structured inventory of your entire project landscape before you ever even ask it a single question. It builds the topography.
So it's basically the GPS for your project.
That is the perfect analogy, yes. It's
Fine.
the GPS. The indexer scans all your connected folders, SharePoint, Google Drive, your local directories, and it runs this highly structured extraction protocol.
And it's grabbing more than just the file name, right?
Oh, much more. It extracts the exact file locations, the types, dates, byte sizes, and all this crucial metadata. Things like the embedded author, the revision status, the subject lines.
What's fascinating here is... sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say what's fascinating here is that the AI isn't just reading files on the fly. It is using this structured inventory to build a spatial awareness of your project. It knows where everything lives.
Let's ground this in a real example from the source material.
Right.
They use this construction example, finding a structural steel specification.
Right, a classic scenario.
So the before picture, without the index, you have Claude, or whatever AI, searching blindly.
Yeah.
It's guessing, it's opening random files, reading hundreds of file names. It loads a likely candidate, realizes it's the wrong trade or an outdated revision, flushes its memory, and just starts over.
Which is incredibly computationally expensive and highly prone to error. It introduces a massive margin for hallucination.
Right, because it might surface a document and say, here's your structural spec, but it has no idea if it's the right one.
Exactly. Without a comprehensive map, the AI cannot confidently determine if it is the current binding specification. And when you are coordinating heavy machinery or pouring concrete based on those documents, probability-based guessing is a catastrophic risk.
Yeah, nobody wants a building structurally compromised because of a bad search query.
You need absolute certainty, and the index provides that deterministic certainty. In the after scenario, with the index, you ask the AI for the structural steel spec. It doesn't rummage around. It consults the map.
It just instantly knows the location.
Instantly. It cross-references the metadata, confirms the revision, and isolates the target. That precision is everything.
Okay, so that all sounds amazing. It's the GPS, it gives us precision. But that naturally leads to the next question. How hard is it to build this map? I mean, robust databases usually require IT teams and API integrations.
You would think so, but the setup is actually incredibly simple. The mechanics are lightweight because it's optimizing for metadata, not deep reading.
So what are the actual nuts and bolts? I just click a button?
Basically, yes. You literally click Run Project Indexer, you select your target folders, and you click Start. The deployment is minimal.
Wait, really? That's it? How long does that take?
Well, the source gives us specific metrics. For a typical construction folder containing, say, 1,000 to 5,000 files, it only takes about 5 to 15 minutes.
Wow. 15 minutes for 5,000 files.
And it all happens in the background. You just let the engine run autonomously.
Okay, but I have to push back on this a little bit because a project is a living thing. So I run it once and I'm good forever.
Ah, no. That is a very common misconception. State drift is a real issue. If you run it on day one and the project runs for 18 months, your files are going to change.
Right. New drawings get uploaded, emails come in.
Exactly. So you run it at project setup, absolutely. But the best practice, you must rerun it weekly on active projects or immediately after any major additions, like a massive new drawing set.
Because if you don't, you're using an outdated map.
Precisely. A stale index is definitely better than no index at all because you still have a basic framework, but it is much less reliable than a current one. Maintenance is key.
Okay, that makes sense. A quick refresh every week. So we've built the map, we've maintained it. But what exactly does this map show us? Because the source talks about how this output isn't just for the AI, it's an intelligence report for us.
This is a huge point. We shift from simply finding files to actually analyzing the health of the project data itself. The index output is this beautifully structured summary showing document counts, duplicates, missing files, and revision flags.
Yeah, they gave a specific example in the lesson, the FIT project.
Right, the FIT project. It showed 247 documents indexed across 3 folders.
And it immediately identifies the noise. Like it flags duplicates. It showed the exact same variation notice saved in both the variations folder and the correspondence folder.
Which happens all the time. Someone emails a document, 2 different people save it in 2 different places, and suddenly you have version control issues. The index spots that instantly.
But here's where it gets really interesting. Identifying a duplicate is easy enough. It just sees 2 identical files. But how does the index find missing documents if it's only indexing what is actually there?
That is the magic of gap identification. It's not just looking at files in a vacuum. It looks for expected document types missing from the register.
Okay, how does that work in practice?
So in the FIT project example, the AI knows the structural schema. It expects certain contracts based on the trades involved. The indexer analyzes the sequential dependency and says, wait, I see executed subcontracts for trades 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, and 8.
So it spots the numerical gap.
Exactly. It explicitly flags that the subcontracts for trades 4, 7, and 9 are missing.
That is incredibly smart. It also highlighted 8 drawings with unclear multiple revisions, right?
Yes. If a folder has drawing V1, V2, and final, it flags that ambiguity. The index output itself is this incredibly valuable intelligence before you even open a single file. You get a targeted hit list of vulnerabilities to fix.
It's like having an all-knowing superlibrarian, one who doesn't just fetch the books, but cross-references the entire catalog instantly and tells you which pages were torn out.
That's a great way to look at it.
So we have this incredibly detailed intelligence report. How do we actively use it to do our work faster? How does this supercharge our daily workflow?
Well, Claude uses the map automatically for basic stuff, but you can also explicitly reference it in your prompts.
Like I can just tell it to look at the map.
Yes, you can use prompts like, based on the project index, list all documents related to the structural steel scope.
And because it has the metadata, it doesn't need to read 5,000 files. It just filters the index.
Exactly. It compiles a clean list instantly. But if we connect this to the bigger picture, you can do these incredibly complex index-powered workflows.
Multi-layered stuff.
Right. For example, you can ask Claude, which variation notices have been submitted but do not yet have a corresponding principal response in the correspondence folder?
Oh, wow. So it has to look at folder A, find the submitted notices, then pivot to folder B, look for the replies, and calculate what's missing. That would take a human hours with a spreadsheet.
Hours, easily. And the AI does it in seconds. Another example from the source. You can have it find spec sections that are referenced in a primary contract but are completely missing from the actual spec folder.
That transforms a totally reactive workflow into a proactive one. You find out a spec is missing weeks before you actually need it on site.
Precisely. It mitigates risk before it becomes a crisis.
Okay, I know someone listening right now is thinking this sounds a bit like magic. So let's ground the conversation in reality. What's the catch? What are the limitations of this tool?
It is not omniscient, and the primary limitation is regarding file formats and text layers. The indexer cannot read scanned PDFs without text layers.
So if I print a contract, sign it with a pen, and scan it back in.
To the machine, that is just a flat digital photograph. It's an unstructured grid of pixels. It doesn't see letters or clauses. It will index the basic file name, but it cannot read the full content or the embedded metadata.
So what does this all mean for our workflows? We're just out of luck with scanned documents.
No, you just need a workaround. You have to use OCR optical character recognition. Before you index, you run those scans through Adobe Acrobat or use the Claude PDF skill to add a searchable text layer. Once the text is there, the indexer can grab it.
Got it. Add the text layer first. Are there any other limitations? What about just reading the files?
Well, the index doesn't read the full, unabridged content of every document. It only grabs the metadata and maybe the first few pages for context, which makes sense. Mathematically, you can't process 5,000 full documents in 15 minutes.
Right, that would be an insane amount of computing power.
This raises an important question about how we divide the labor between the human, the index, and the AI's deep analysis skills. The source gives us a very definitive rule of thumb. Index equals navigation. Full document read equals analysis.
Let me repeat that because it's so important. Index equals navigation. Full document read equals analysis.
Exactly. You use the index to locate the right file quickly and precisely. Once you've found the exact subcontract you need, then you have Claude read that specific full document to analyze a liability clause. Use each tool for what it does best.
Don't ask the map to read the book, basically.
Exactly.
Okay, we are coming up on time here. Let's do a quick summary for everyone listening. The source material basically gives us 3 golden rules from their quiz section.
Right.
Rule 1, the index is Claude's map. It provides precision over blind guessing. Rule 2, the index output reveals what's there, what's duplicated, and what's missing. It is valuable intelligence on its own.
And rule 3, index equals navigation, full read equals analysis.
Perfect. Listen, if you just implement this one 15-minute habit running and refreshing that indexer, you are going to save yourself hundreds of hours of blind folder clicking over the lifespan of a project.
It's an incredible return on investment for your time.
Absolutely. And just a quick heads up for you all, our next deep dive is going to build on this. We'll be covering how to reuse company context and manage token usage for these advanced systems.
I'm looking forward to that one. But before we go, I want to leave everyone with a final thought to ponder.
Oh, lay it on us.
We talked about gap identification, right? How the AI cross-references expected contracts to tell you what is missing today. Well, think about the evolution of that. If the AI can map your folders and track the dates of your files, it understands your project's velocity.
The speed things are moving.
Right. So how long until it uses that same index logic to map the rate of your correspondence and actually predict which missing documents are about to become critical project bottlenecks tomorrow?
Right.
Yeah. Before you even realize you need them, the AI says, based on this velocity, you will be delayed in 3 weeks if you don't get this specific approval tomorrow. Transitioning from mapping the present to predicting the future.
That is wild. Predictive bottleneck analysis, well, that is definitely something to chew on. Map the project once, navigate it forever. Thank you all so much for joining us for another deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
We will see you all next time.